Welcome to the Six Figure Coach podcast. I'm so happy to have you here today.
I am so happy to be here. So excited to do this. I appreciate your time.
Of course, same. So before we dive in, how's it going for you inside the hive?
It's fantastic. I am blown away by the space that you created. It is so helpful and productive to be with other people who are on the same journey. And I remember that when I'm not there, that I'm like, gosh, I have this wonderful resource of a bunch of people who are in the same mindset and focus that I am. And you're there to help hold space for it. And all these people are on the same page. So I always have that fallback. Times I'm on my own and feeling good, but then I can always fall back and know the hive is there. Oh, yeah. It's such a great resource.
Let's give a shout out to Kylie. Let's also find out if she listens to the show.
Yes, Kylie.
For all of our listeners, Kylie is our client success manager, and time is so blurry these days, right? It could have been 2 days ago and it could have been 2 years ago, but I think it was at some point this year it was when we did our quarterly review. So it was in April. She shared with me, she's like, I have discovered that like my purpose on the planet is to help people feel like they belong. So every day in my job, I get to live my purpose. And it shows, doesn't it? Like that, she is so good at creating community. So Kylie, we're just giving you lots of love, and let us know if you ever hear this message.
We thank you. Yeah. And you will hear this. I'm calling you forth. Yes.
Yeah, right. Someone will let her know. If she doesn't hear it, someone else will let her.
That's the truth.
It's true. That's so funny. And so unfair. Okay, so great. I'm glad you're feeling that sense of belonging because we really strive to create it. Can you tell me, Lee, what you want to walk away with from our time together today?
I want to have a Wikipedia of me and what I can offer so that I can reference it, because it's inside. And so like it's an unorganized mess inside. And if I can begin that file, that Wikipedia page, air quotes, of what it is I offer, that would be a huge gift to me so that I can better share with others what it is that I am good at offering to other people.
Right, because my sense from you is that you're a very skilled coach, and you have this incredible ability to deliver a ton of value when the process is completely client-led, and not all of us have that. But for you, it sounds like what you're needing is, Dallas, I'm so in the moment, right? And so good at delivering for my clients, but it makes it challenging to have a ABC way to talk about that transformation, in a marketable way. Am I getting that right?
I think you are spot on. I think that is exactly everything you said. Yes.
Yeah. Could you share your dream client power statement with everyone?
Absolutely. Okay. And I love it.
It's my favorite. You're the person who I'm like, oh, there's a guy named Lee. And I know your dream client power statement because I love it so much. So go ahead.
Optimistic overachievers find balance and room to breathe without losing their edge.
Great. Okay. So what I just wrote down was, and let's just set the intention for you to walk away with at least a solid framework for your signature system.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. So let's try this. Can you think of 1 to 4 clients that you've worked with who have really been a dream? And we'll name them Fred, Barney, Wilma, and Betty. So tell me about Fred. What is a win that Fred experienced that just lights you up, that makes you want to really celebrate?
Fred was just blown away at the ability for his life to go from really busy and crazy to very balanced.
And
go ahead.
No, keep going.
That was something that for Fred was not something he could imagine ahead of time. And it was the workaholic all the way off the cliff crash repeatedly without a model for what's the alternative.
Right.
And that was
Right.
a very natural place for me because I am someone of balance. I don't overwork, so that was a gift right there.
Great. What process did you take Fred through in order to go from really busy to very balanced?
The very short answer is describing a common what's the way to describe this? A common experience for a typical person. I guess that's the
Okay.
way of doing it, of saying, here is what a typical person does. You don't have to do this, but also let's just frame this into what is typical for someone that says they're balanced. How do they work and what is the amount of time they do? And then let's do trial and error. Now, I want to add that in. That I already can connect to a lot of things. Is one of the
Mm-hmm.
things I do is we come up with an idea, but we never say this is it. We say, here's the idea. Now come back next session and let
Yeah.
me know what worked and what didn't work. And that's a
Yeah.
lot of what we're doing.
Great.
Trial and error.
So what ended up working for Fred?
For Fred, it was having boundaries. It was boundary setting, and that might be the part of the exercise there, was setting
Mm-hmm.
boundaries and limiting and holding back what he was trying to do each week because he wanted to work literally from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. And I restricted that. I said, you're not allowed.
Yeah.
No,
Great.
no. Let's get your genius within these hours. Let's try it out. Let's see if it works or not. And it totally worked. And it changed his life. And he was just professing like, I just can't get over
Mm-hmm.
the synergy and trifold results as a result of being better balanced.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's move on to Wilma. So what's a success that or a transformation or breakthrough that Wilma had that really lights you up?
I would say for Wilma, it was understanding with better clarity, and this is still a process for Wilma, what
Mm-hmm.
the voices inside of her are saying, because she is very tied into, and I find this with a lot of my clients, that inner critic, I call it the gremlin in my work, that gremlin voice, as if it is them and not
Mm-hmm.
that it's from an outside source that they adopted. And so that process of deconstructing it, personalizing it, and creating it outside of themselves so that every time it comes up, I'm acknowledging it, calling it, saying, wait a minute, that's your gremlin, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you're right. And
Mm-hmm.
having that awareness helped to it was a perspective change in Wilma.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it really helped her to externalize this internal, this is me voice into, wait a minute, this is not me. I have a choice here. I'm not
Yes.
anymore.
Great. So when Wilma was able to distinguish that gremlin voice from her authentic self, what were the benefits, the like concrete benefits that Wilma experienced?
The opposite of victimization, empowerment,
Mm-hmm.
uh, being able to have choice finally,
Mm-hmm.
and to separate what it is that she felt was what she felt it just is, into, wait a minute, that's what I've been choosing and doing unconsciously, and now I have the choice to make a different choice. Not
Yeah.
only
Right.
that, part of our Gremlin Project exercise is to have a response to everything. So it's the trifold or three-step process, when there's more than just three steps, but identifying it, saying what it says, and then having a response to it. And so having a powerful response to any, I was going to say de-energizing, lowering of your energy statement,
Uh-huh. Like a low vibe. Got it. Got it. Mm-hmm.
having something that feels, oh, this feels so much better, and having that be powerful enough to respond to it so that she feels free.
Mm-hmm.
She feels, yes, that is the truth. And I spiral in like life is where you hit situations again and again. And so when that
Mm-hmm.
happens again and I don't feel that, we revisit that statement. Was it powerful enough? That's process, but what your
Yeah.
question
No,
was.
this is perfect.
Okay.
This is great.
So
Okay.
that repeat, go ahead.
Great. So what I've heard so far, Fred
Mhm.
went from really busy to very balanced.
Mhm.
Wilma went from super obligated to totally empowered. Is that accurate?
This is just me getting tied on obligated. Disempowered, at cause. Like I almost would call it in a rut. And that's just because my own tie-in to what obligated means for me.
Love it. Is that what Wilma would call it? Is that what Wilma would call it? Is in a rut?
What would she call it? That's a good question. She wouldn't feel free or flowing. I'm trying to think how she has said it. Because the thing that's hard to pinpoint, this is interesting you bring this up, but how they would call it. This is my observation of it. And the way that they're experiencing it is almost it's unawareness. So it's almost like they don't have a name for it. They come to me knowing I don't like how I feel. And so, but for them, it just is. Yeah. And right. I'm opening the door to something that they're like, oh, this is a different place.
Got it. Okay, great. Do you have another one? Do you have Barney?
Barney is someone that's confident in his business, but then is also not confident at the same time. And so there's been a back and forth with like, oh, I'm really successful. I'm no good at being a business owner. I'm really successful. I'm not. I'm terrible. My employees hate me. And so talking to Barney, one of the fun things that we did with him was creating a schedule, doing a schedule blocking exercise to externalize, okay, the chaos of the week into, no, you get to decide your week because you are self-employed and empowered. So let's actually go through a scheduling exercise and time block. And that has been something that once I did it with him, whoa, it was so impactful that I've started to use that with other people. My goodness, to create and decide. This kind of is a fancy version of the boundary creation, but it is again designing your life to support you. Yeah, got it. What have been the tangible benefits for Barney? Oh, Barney has been like singing praises about now meetings don't just go anywhere. There's now 2 days. Mondays and Fridays are just for Barney. And so he's been really happy to have his own schedule on Mondays and Fridays. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, those are the only days for meetings. And so it allows him to focus on his business and then work in his business Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's a lot of structure and flow and a purpose for these days. Yeah. So it's like going from chaos to confidence or chaos to focused. Okay, great. Is there a Betty here too? I feel like the person that I would consider Betty is someone I'm still in process with, who has been, and so this is an interesting concept here. I don't have the words for this, but Betty is someone who came to me saying I had a damaged childhood. And so what I am seeking is, I'm calling it the basics, common sense understandings of what is it that people who aren't damaged do. And so in Betty's world, Betty has loved me sharing basic guidelines that successful people. And so this is the weird thing. Betty is a highly successful entrepreneur, solopreneur in the entertainment type field, event field, really. And so Betty has a highly successful business in Betty's city. Betty is the highest rated of her field, but she feels like she's a mess internally. And so she's looking, and so it's this dichotomy of everyone from the outside would be like, wow, Betty has it together. Betty tells me I've had a very damaged childhood and I'm trying to work out so I can feel better. And so what I work with her on is, okay, here is what I would perceive to be a common, healthy way of looking at things or just a way of doing things. Let's try it out. see if it works for you or not. And more often than not, it's been, wowly, that just has been so groundbreaking for me.
Yeah.
So again, in process, but it's been
Yeah.
very powerful for her.
Yeah. It sounds like what you're working on with Betty is something around like aligning inner confidence with their external accomplishments. Is that accurate? Where like Betty's got it all going on, but inside, like she doesn't own it, she doesn't see it, she doesn't feel it.
The answer is 100% yes. And my only questioning with it is that just one part of it.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
And there's other parts of just like the exercise of it is just not there. It's like going through the motions, but that does resonate.
Got it. Okay. So one thing I want to share for you and all of our listeners, as coaches, there is so much that we cover and that we provide and that we do, from tiny little adjustments to these big transformations. There is no way in our marketing that we can talk about all of the things to help people move forward with you. You could talk about all of the things and people will just feel confused and chaotic. So, which can be challenging because every client breakthrough is so meaningful, right?
Right.
But often people don't want more. They want ease. So by narrowing the message, even though if I'm picturing the iceberg here, right? So even though you're talking about the tippy top of the iceberg, it's in a way that people can understand and latch onto and believe in themselves enough to pursue it. And then inside of the coaching relationship is where we get into all of the work underneath the iceberg. So what I'd like to do is take a quick break. I've been taking copious notes, and we may have at least the beginnings of your signature system. So let's just take a quick break and then we'll come back and talk it through. Welcome back to the Six Figure Coach podcast. It's Dallas here. I've got Lee Cambry with me. We're working on a signature system for you, Lee, because every client is different. You've got such a wealth of knowledge and a huge vault of tools that you just like go into the toolbox, right? And pull out what's needed when it's needed, which is so impactful for your clients and super fun for you. Yet it can make marketing feel difficult or convoluted.
Right.
So if you're just tuning in, Lee and I just asked him to describe some of the processes he took some favorite clients through, the cast of the Flintstones, just to see if we could see any themes, right? Or perhaps pull out aspects to create a marketable signature system, not because it's everything, but because it gives you a solid framework to talk about in your messaging and in your marketing. So I'd love to share what I observed, and I'd love to just talk through it.
Yeah.
A big theme that I saw throughout was choice or agency or ownership. It's almost as though every client didn't see that there was another option was available, and that they could choose another path if they wanted. So awakening that awareness of choice inside for each of your clients is a theme you talked about with all 4 people. But I'm just wondering what you would think. I'm going to get a fresh sheet of paper. So listen to this, the tear of a legal pad. It's so thrilling, isn't it?
It really does give me a good feeling.
I wonder, Lee, if there is a Venn diagram that we could create just from a marketing perspective. I'm drawing it here on my page. So how do you help optimistic overachievers find balance without losing their edge? Number 1 is they go from being really busy to very balanced. Number 2, and this is where we're going to have to do a little bit of work on the wording. Today, I'm just going to use the word stuck. Right? Mm-hmm. So super stuck to totally empowered. And then the third one is moving, and we could have these adjectives if you wanted to, but moving from chaos, it's like from like complete chaos to rock solid confidence. Now, the reason I'm talking about I'm showing you a visual aid. Everyone just imagine a Venn diagram, right? The reason I'm recommending you talk about your progress pathway as a Venn diagram rather than a step-by-step process is because it isn't a step-by-step process. First of all, you're inviting everyone to experiment. Secondly, everyone's coming in with a different area of focus first. But if you were to focus on these three branches just from a marketing and messaging perspective, how does that land for you?
It lands already. I'm like, that sounds great. Because already we've come up with 3 tenets, let's say. And that is already way more honed in than my nebulous belief in my abilities, where I of course, you know, that's the gift of what this conversation is allowing me to come up with as I work with you, is that it's not that we're coming up with the only 3 tenets that I have, or the only 10 tenets, even if we were to continue talking. It's that I need something to hold on to. It's almost as, this is not the issue of in the coaching call, it's how do I get out of it to talk about it. And this is helping already, see the Venn diagram of 3 areas. It resonates. Well,
just imagine pitching yourself to a podcast, right? And what you want to talk about is the Cambry method. And it has 3 distinct pillars: taking optimistic overachievers from really busy to very balanced, from super stuck to totally empowered, and from complete chaos to rock solid confidence. So, oh, that sounds like it's something that's thought through. There's a methodology here.
Yes.
Now let me show you what's possible. So let's just, out of those 3, super stuck to totally empowered, complete chaos to rock solid confidence, or really busy to very balanced, just pick one that we'll workshop around for today.
I feel the most pull toward the confidence piece.
Great. Okay. So what are some tools or processes that you have shared with your clients that have helped them develop rock solid confidence?
With the confidence, I started to begin on this. It's what I call the Gremlin Project, which is helping to externalize that inner voice.
Great.
That tells you you're not good enough, that we all of us have this.
Great. Anything else under complete chaos to rock solid confidence? This was when you talked about time blocking with Barney. Does that go in that category?
That for me is this is me not having the Venn diagram. So this is about structures and boundaries, is where I have something with that. So whichever tenant would talk about structures and boundaries. So against chaos. I'm sorry. So if that's what's chaos to structures and boundaries, but maybe there's a better word like you've come up with already. That's what that exercise is having some limits to where you are free to be someone besides the work you, which tends to be the biggest spinning the wheels out of control areas. I get too involved with work, and then I am just work.
I'm just working. Yeah, great. So building better boundaries. Great. Is there another favorite tool or something that you've shared with clients that's really helped them establish confidence?
So interesting. It's the Gremlin Project. Then once that's done, I don't have a name for this, but then it's the experimentation of doing each of these, like out of the Gremlin Project. It's okay, these are all the things, and it's scary for some people, but I haven't had anyone break, because I hold this space and I can encourage anyone, you're going to be fine. But all the voices that tell you you're the worst. And then let's have the answers to what feels good. But then let's test it. So that's that next chapter that takes weeks.
Yeah, totally.
Let's, in practice, tell me when you come back, okay, where did your Gremlin show up? Did
Mm-hmm.
this statement not work? If not, what's going on? And so it's the trial and error phase
Yeah.
of let's test it out. Let's see if you do feel okay. I'm not good speaking. Put yourself in a speaking situation. I'm not good socially. Put yourself in a social situation. Let me know
Mm-hmm.
how it goes. What's coming up there? So it's the let's practice it. Let's get scared. Let's get into discomfort
Yeah.
so that you can grow.
It's like road tested, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so now imagine that you're thinking about content that you need to create. Maybe it's an Instagram post, maybe you're sending out an email. Instead of sitting at your desk thinking, what should I talk about? There are so many things. You can pull out, I'm pulling it out again, everybody, your Venn diagram. You can look at complete chaos to rock solid confidence. Number one, the Gremlin Project. What's one element of the Gremlin Project? Just one step.
Manifesting creatively what the gremlin looks like, sounds like to you.
Mm-hmm. So you could write a blog, do an Instagram live, create a post a photo of your creative manifestation of your own gremlin, and talk about the power of pulling the gremlin outside of you, right? And one way to do that is through creative expression. Here's what it looks like. Done. That's your post. So, from a marketing perspective, my feedback would be working off of something like this. I really wish this was video, everybody, because my artwork is totally brag-worthy.
Yes, I love it.
But we've got
Clear
the
for me and very helpful.
right? The Cambry method. It's a Venn diagram of these three pillars, right? Each pillar has several tools. Each tool has a lot of different aspects. It's those aspects that you can talk about in your marketing. So now your message is clear because everything connects back to one of the pillars inside of the Cambry method. But it also gives you a lot of freedom to talk about all of the various tools or resources or breakthroughs that you experience in the moment with your clients.
I feel that. I feel that. And it allows me a catalog. I mean, it allows me a Wikipedia, a catalog of options here. And as I look at that, I just had a kind of an aha moment. That Gremlin project I do with people is getting that voice out and externalizing it. You're helping me do the same right now with the processes I have.
Yeah.
And to getting them out, having them be visual, so that way I can look at them and go, oh, that's what I'm doing. Oh, that's the trick I'm doing. It's an exercise and practice, and that's very helpful.
Great. So I'd love to make this even more actionable for you. I'll take a photo of my beautiful artwork and send it to you.
Thank you.
But step one would be without overthinking, because you can change it later, right? But okay, Dallas got clever with these before and after ways to describe my pillars. Does that language all land? We're sticking with 3 pillars. Okay, we're not adding, you mentioned 10 pillars later. That's just going to overwhelm people. But there's but where you get into the nitty gritty is in the categories inside of each pillar. Then just spend some time, like we just did. What are different tools that I utilize, and which pillar do they best fit into? So that you'll kind of finish this worksheet that we've created.
Yeah.
And then what I'd love for you to do is build in time after coaching sessions. So let's just say your coaching sessions are 45 minutes. On your calendar, they're always an hour. So you've got 15 minutes at the end of every session because you're so in the moment, right? And we always think, oh, that was awesome. I'm never forgetting what just happened. And we do.
Yeah.
Right?
Always. Yeah. 100% of the time. Yep.
So building in time after your next appointment with Wilma. Okay, what did we work through? Great. Which pillar does that best connect to? What notes do I want to take? so that over time, this just starts to look like this really gorgeous but well thought out mind map of content ideas that all come back to your three pillars. And now your marketing is crystal clear without being limited.
That's huge. That's powerful, and it's so actionable and possible. It is the, as you describe it, and as we get to what these steps are, the gap that left me stuck, that brought me to here with that struggle, is the good student people pleaser in me. Now that I know what the worksheet looks like, I can fill it out, kind of thing. And whenever I don't have the worksheet and I have to create the worksheet,
Yeah.
and that's that big picture concern. That's the problem. Me being a good student, I never was forced to create over and over. I was forced to edit and complete.
Yeah.
A lifetime of that. And so that's easy for me. I'm happy to do that, but it took that help getting to where, what does it look like?
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is so helpful.
That's one of my superpowers. So whenever you need a worksheet, you know where to go.
Yes, yes.
I feel like I think in worksheets. So, all right. So I want to make sure this is really solidified for you. So can you just share with me and the listeners what your takeaway is from today, and then what you're doing with this conversation moving forward?
Yes. So my takeaway is that marketing wise, having three tenets, and I'm sure, well, let me actually ask this to get permission from your marketing genius. The three might turn into 4 or 5 max, or is it like Lee, stick with 3 only? I wasn't going to go past 5. That was my thing in my head. 3 to 5.
You know what? I give this advice often when the conversation is around course creation. So it's really the same conversation. The content needs to dictate the format, not the other way around. And you will hear other experts say, nope, it's got to be either 3 or 5 or 7 or 9. It has to be an odd number for some sort of like brainwashing strategy, right? But you got to just let the content determine it. But if I were you, I would see, okay, is this a pillar or is it a tool within a pillar? Because less is going to be more from a messaging perspective.
That resonates. And I needed that permission. I mean, I don't need that permission. I appreciate that perspective of hearing that, the experts might say this, but also the freedom of let the message decide. And so again, my takeaway being that right now, there's 3 pillars. It does add up to me that these are the 3 as of now. But as I do my sessions, I might start to realize, there's actually a 4th pillar, or that 3rd pillar was actually too specific. And so I'm going to rename it and have that pillar name actually be one of the steps, So anyway, after each session, I will be able to expand what I've created, what we've created, what you've created that I'm adopting, into something that will be more of my system, and to help make it into something to where I will have this reference sheet of, this is how Lee Cambry does things, flip my hair back. And then I feel confident knowing I can use this as a marketing jumping off point.
Yep. Absolutely. And I'm even picturing you could get a graphic designed. So when you have a discovery session and we send out the invite letter after, right? It included in that is like, here's the Cambry method, right? And like, here's the whole, what it all looks like, where you and I will begin, will be taking you from really busy to very balanced. And here's why. So immediately it's just more systematic and therefore easier for the client to give themselves permission to invest in this kind of what can sometimes feel like a nebulous outcome. Like, you're going to find more balance and like be happy.
Totally. That's what it feels like. Yeah.
It turns this work from a nice to have into a need to have, which we know it's a need to have. But sometimes the client needs a more formal framework to as a permission structure to invest in themselves.
I hear that. It is that has been the big struggle. You've named it well, that
Yeah.
it feels arbitrary. Oh, it's therapy. Oh, I don't have concrete. And I'm like, I know I
Mhm.
can talk to someone one-on-one if that were to come up, but that's not often what's coming up in that discovery session. It's something
Yeah.
that happens on their own. And so to have this visual, I think is huge. Huge.
Awesome. Great. All right. So we're going to tweak this where we need to. After every session, you're going to just get so used to thinking about the Cambry method that after every client session, it's like, okay, great. That absolutely fits into super stuck to totally empowered. Here's what we did. Here's my content idea for the week. Great. This was so much fun. Thank you for letting me make a worksheet.
Thank you for making the worksheet. That's so helpful. Win-win.
And for everybody listening, I want you to really think about how you can approach your own signature system in a similar way, because it's such a clarity maker and confidence booster, and can turn the marketing question mark into a marketing exclamation mark, right? Where we want to move forward. So thank you, Lee, for coming today. And thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.